What's up, guys? Mr. Dan here, back again for another Martial Arts Monday review. And yet again, we have another Sammo Hung film. Last Monday, I did the 8-diagram pole fighter, so I kind of departed from the career of Sammo Hung for one review. But now I'm back, actually, with perhaps the one I should have started with, considering it's his directorial debut, The Iron-Fisted Monk. A very interesting film that kind of comes with a warning, which I'll get to in a minute. Pretty good film, pretty entertaining film. Kind of a surprising film. My wife came home and started watching it with me, and we were surprised at, well, I'll just say it now, the amount of nudity and, I would say sex, but I'll get to that in a moment, in the film. And she remarked that this was the kind of film that they would show at midnight in Hong Kong when she was, a young lady, little girl. Teenager, what have you. So this was not one that she would normally be able to see. So yes, this film does have a little more nudity than usual, and as a matter of fact, I'm just going to come out and say it, the main bad guy in this film, played by Fung Hak-an as the official, is essentially a serial rapist. So there is a scene of a sexual assault in the film that does go on a little while, and it's quite jarring, to be quite honest with you. So because of that, this film was actually cut for certain markets and also retroactively given a Cat 3 rating in Hong Kong, Category 3, which equates to an NC-17 rating. Now, is it as severe and as kind of violent as some of the notorious Cat 3 films, the more well-known Cat 3 films, such as The Untold Story or The Ebola Syndrome? No. As far as the rape revenge aspect of it, is it as graphic as films such as Last House on the Left or I Spit on Your Grave? No. But it is kind of surprising to see this in a film like this. So just be aware of that. This might not be for everybody. And this is the uncut version. You know, when I was a kid growing up watching kung fu movies on TV, a lot of times somebody close to the protagonist was either killed or injured. A lot of times the master, the stereotypical, you killed my teacher, you killed my master. Sometimes the main character would have a sister or somebody, or girlfriend, that was sexually assaulted. Usually on those edited versions on TV, it was implied. So, but in this case, you get to see all of it. So just be aware of that. And it does kind of make for a rather uneven viewing experience, as in many of these films, there are some moments of comedy mixed in the film. It doesn't. I had mentioned in some of the other films how the comedy was almost Three Stooges like. It never gets that severe as far as the comedy. It's never that goofy. Overall, it's mostly a pretty serious film, a pretty solid film that follows a very familiar plot. Let's talk about the cast. Yeah, this is Sammo Hung's directorial debut. He is coming out of the shadow of his mentor here, Huang Feng, who had directed him in many other films, such as Hapkido and The Shaolin Plot. Actually, I don't remember if Sammo was in that one, but so at some point in their sort of partnership, Sammo suggested that he direct a film, and there's a couple different versions of how that went. One version says that Huang Feng said, well, what took you so long to ask me? But regardless, this is his directorial debut, and he does star in it as Rice Miller Look, like another regular guy who's trying to do the right thing and gets caught up in some more Manchu bullying, which we'll get to in a moment. And then you also have Chan Sing, who often played a villain, who plays this time the monk San Di. Now, those two characters are from the same characters that were portrayed in, like, the 36th Chamber of Shaolin. This version of San Di is a lot different, though, as you can see. What makes the monk so mad that he takes on the world with his bare fists? So he's not fully committed to pacifism. And there's even one scene where a lot of the characters go into a cat house, house of ill repute, for a little action, and he decides that he's going to go in too out of curiosity. He puts on a disguise, and then when the Sammo Hung character finds him It's played for comedy. So he's a much different interpretation of the character. And then you have Casanova Wong making a cameo in the beginning as the Shaolin monk. Now, I didn't know this, and I don't know if I said this. I don't know if I knew this at the time. I had made some remarks before about how Golden Harvest had a partnership with a Korean film company, so they would film in South Korea and use a certain percentage of South Korean crew and actors. And Casanova Wong was actually Korean. So apparently there was a Korean version where his character does return throughout the rest of the film. Like there's a plot line involving his character, but apparently no copies of that version exist. So he basically has just a cameo in the beginning. Yeah, and it's basically, the Manchus once again they also have one Mongol fighter with them, which is a kind of a callback to 8 Diagram Pole Fighter, where they kind of gave the Manchus a break from being the bad guys and made the Mongols the bad guys. Anyway, an outside sort of force of agitators comes in and just disrupts everything. They just bully everybody. Like I said, the one guy played by Fong Hak An is a really bad guy. So he basically forces himself upon the wife of a friend of the Sammo Hung character, and the results of that are rather severe, and obviously this individual gets very upset. He works for a textile factory. We've seen that before. So a lot of the workers and the regular sort of street level guys start to fight back. And Sammo transforms from a very timid person to a fighter, essentially. He kind of trains under Sandy and becomes a formidable fighter. In the beginning, he's actually very, very meek. He watches these guys come into his uncle's shop and essentially beat his uncle to death, and without lifting a finger because he's afraid. So there's quite a transformation, and at one point the Manchus try to trick the textile factory owner into sort of giving up his business, but Sammo starts to assert himself and finds a way to prevent that. It's actually a pretty clever scene. And then the Manchus just get frustrated and just resort to, all-out violence. They just attack the entire staff of this textile factory. And then, I'm not going to say too much more about the plot. I mean, it's a pretty much a standard plot, and it's actually pretty good. If you're interested in the career of Sammo Hung, definitely check it out. Some really good action sequences for sure. Be aware that it was given that Category 3 rating, and it has a little bit more of an adult content than usual. But yeah, that's the review for this week. Have you seen The Iron-Fisted Monk? What are your thoughts? There he is there. He wasn't as big as he would get size-wise, but he was not small either. But his movement was incredible. That's for sure. Anyway, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next Monday for Martial Arts Monday. Thanks.